Welcome to Esoteric Essays, revealing humanity's biggest secrets, one essay at a time. Seek, and ye shall find.
Hi everybody, how are you doing? You heard that totally right in the title, what you read. Today I'm going to explain to you Skinwalker Ranch and how it's connected to ancient lost technology from a lost civilization that the Aztec used to speak of. I'm going to explain the whole deal. I'm going to make you look at things in a whole new way. So I promise this is going to be the most interesting video you probably ever watched in your life if you're interested in this topic. I need to take a minute or two to sort of chill out. I'm a little nervous, but also I need to explain to you who I am. So my name's James, and I guess I'm sort of known for, I'm an author of a series of essays that I call Esoteric Essays. And I publish these all over the internet, but mostly in Facebook in my private group and in hundreds of public groups in Facebook. So you might have come across some of these. There's 13 to date, and they cover a bunch of different topics. This one today that you're here listening about Skinwalker Ranch. But many other topics like Bigfoot and connection to the UFOs. And then also, we got Cleopatra, the Knights Templar, and Oak Island. And a lot of the stuff that they don't want you to know about Oak Island, how it goes back even farther. So I have written that one. That's essay number 9, I think. But I've got quite a few essays. I got one that talks about the Grand Canyon really being the result of an ancient weapon, and there's a lost city underneath of it. That's essay number 5. So, I mean, if you're interested in any of these things, I highly encourage you to join my group. That's where I started all this. I actually had a weird life and a weird job, and I go into more detail about all that in some of the essays, but in some videos too that I have posted in the group. I would like to thank my moderators of the group. They've been helping me a whole bunch. Bonation Bill, you wonderful man. Thank you so much. Joanne, everybody who's helping me, thank you so much. I hope you watch this video because I'm going to expand on the essays here and say some things I've never said in the essays. So that's why you should watch these too. And I'll answer any questions. If I get questions in the comments or on my group, then I'll answer all those. So I just need somebody, never mind. But okay, now I'm going to start with this essay. This one's all about Skinwalker Ranch. This is Esoteric Essay number 2. Skinwalker Ranch, the myth, the legend, the connection to Aztlan, Atlantis. So, I have come to these conclusions from my personal experiences and my research that include maps, ancient, old, and new, including the esoteric and hidden. Ancient esoteric writings from various secret libraries, church documents, both public and hidden. Ancient Aztec codices in the public domain and in private hands. Yeah, there's people that have a lot of those in their private hands and little collections. So, Aztec and Mayan hieroglyphs, Native American myths, legends, and oral histories, and I followed their petroglyph trails. I've used books, newspaper accounts, and articles from the past. So, this is all what I have come to conclude from what I have learned. First off, to any new readers, this is essay number 2 in a series of essays that are telling a larger overall picture of things that have been hidden from us. I know you, the reader, have not read them, but I kept that in mind while writing these essays. So I recommend you go to the group, Esoteric Essays, right there, and read all of them if this interests you. I'm going to cut some of this out. So this paper is written in the hopes to explain this mysterious ranch that is located in the northeastern section of Utah, about 100 miles west of Salt Lake City. This is the official story to date. This ranch is supposed to be cursed and haunted. Over 100 years ago, the local Ute tribe was working with the United States government in selling off large amounts of land and indigenous peoples into slavery. The Navajo did not agree with this, so it is said that they placed a curse on this land and the surrounding areas. Many Native Americans believe that this curse called forth ancient spirits of evil medicine men and ancient witches, skinwalkers. These ghoulish beings are supposed to be capable of shapeshifting into various animal totems, and these wicked spirits guard this land to this very day and wreak havoc on any person foolish enough to wander into this area. This is a very abridged telling of the official story today. This is not my version. This is basically what the overall story is from all the different sources. The last private party that owned this land was the Terry and Gwen Sherman family, 1994 to 1996. I will keep it short here. This family moved here to run a cattle farm. They were terrorized by something from the very first day. They reported weird going-ons like seeing orbs and UFOs flying around the ranch and surrounding areas. They claimed things were removed around their house and other buildings on the ranch. They claimed to have seen a giant dire wolf-like animal that grabbed hold of a cow and was trying to pull it through a fence. One person that witnessed this supposedly ran and got a gun and shot the beast numerous times. One account of this shooting stated they heard a metallic clinking sound when the animal was shot. See, there's a machine, that's where I'm going here, so let's just keep going. We'll start getting into the things that they don't want you to know. Before it finally released the cow and ran away. The family supposedly tracked this animal as it fled, and magically the beast machine just vanished. The footprints of this beast just sort of ended in the middle of nowhere, and it just was gone. Poof. They also claimed to have seen weird portals open above them in the sky and witnessed orbs and other creature-like beings entering and exiting these portals. This family was also told by local citizens and Native Americans that this land was cursed and they were never to dig on this property, ever. Forbidden, don't dig. Many other things like cattle mutilation also happened on the ranch while this family lived here. The family was terrorized and word got out and this craziness that was going on, and the billionaire, almost $700 million officially, that's what they claim. I wonder if he has much more money and they just don't tell you. Named Mr. Robert Bigelow bought the property in 1996 through 2016. He was the owner. See, and this is also something weird about that. I'm going to stop. Mr. Bigelow, there's some weird connection with this name and Jesse James, and I don't know if he is the same Bigelow family. If anybody knows, I would like to know the answer to that. I would like to know if Mr. Bigelow is related to the Bigelow that had ties with Jesse James. But okay, back to this. This man quickly sealed off the property and started his own investigations into the property. This man has extreme ties to the United States government and its military. Yep. And he also owns an aerospace company. There are a few weird stories that happened during Bigelow's time as owner, but not many have leaked. This man was basically a front, and he was doing his investigations at the behest of the United States government. He was given at least $22 million in the form of a grant from the government to help him fund his investigations. I claim the government was more involved in this investigation than they want to admit, and they used a private citizen and his companies as a front so no citizen could request information about this investigation from the government using the normal route of inquiry, like the Freedom of Information Act. So that's how they bypass all this. They just have a rich, elite, initiated guy who owns business use his business, and now we can't question what's going on because it's a private business, not the government, but it is the government. So this is done all the time, and more private corporations are also involved in things like this, but that discussion is for another day. I'll expand more. During this time, Mr. Bigelow formed a few groups to work under. One is called ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons Identification Program. Now everybody needs to just listen to that. And another is NIDS. I think it's supposed to be national, but I put nation. Nation Institute of Discovery Science. So I think it's National Institute of Discovery Science. That's still an odd name, too. Alright, there are more, and they are still doing other investigations to this very day for the United States government. The Tic Tac UFO, they're involved in all that stuff. I wonder what Mr. Bigelow's really doing. Mr. Bigelow, his companies, and the government are very tight-lipped on any going-ons during his ownership of this area. In 2016, an unnamed person bought the ranch from Mr. Bigelow using a mysterious company named Adamantium Holdings. That's odd. Adamantium is supposed to be a fictional, indestructible metal alloy talked about in our movies, fictional writings, and comic books, like, Wolverine with his magical adamantium, unbreakable skeleton, and claws. I'm a comic book nerd, I'm sorry. Please take note of this alloy, adamantium. I claim it has a direct ties to Aztlan, Atlantis, and their long-lost high technology, metallurgy, for all those fallen. So, after a short time, the new owner finally came forward, Mr. Brandon Frugal. Hold on, I should have worded that slightly different. But okay, Mr. Brandon Frugal bought the property. Frugal is also rich. $250 million to $500 million, depending on the sources. That's a lot of money. Devout Mormon businessman who's made his fortune in real estate and some other ventures. After a few years of secret investigations, Mr. Frugal teamed up with the History Channel and then released a TV show called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. And that is produced by, I think it's Prometheus TV. We'll see. The first episode aired March 13th, 2020. The rest is history, and this leads us to today in my writing this essay. Now that I've gotten the official version of the story out of the way, I can get to the good stuff. Here we go. To have any understanding of what's really going on at the ranch, you have to have some knowledge of the Aztec legend of the Quetzalcoatl and Aztlan. Quetzalcoatl was not a Mexica Aztec. He was from somewhere else. There are many versions of his story, and many actually mix his story with other characters from Aztec myth and legends. He was known by many different names depending on what area of Mexico and which legends and writings you are hearing or reading. I will use the name Quetzalcoatl and that name alone while speaking of this being. Quetzalcoatl is known as the plumed, feathered serpent, the serpent king/god. He was described as a white-skinned, slightly chubby, blue-eyed, and gray-bearded being. It was said that he flew via machine, Vimana, or some kind of technology, to Mexico and escaped a huge catastrophe that utterly destroyed his kingdom and land. It was said that this being helped the Mexica with their civilization. He taught them many secret things and also forbade them from performing any more human sacrifice. No more human sacrifice or killing. That's what he taught them. So he also taught them, hold on. He taught them many secret things and forbade them from human sacrifice. This being had with him extremely advanced Aztlan Atlantis technology, and this gave him otherworldly abilities, and this led to the Mexica Aztec worshiping him as a god/king. After living with the Azteca Mexica for years, Quetzalcoatl had to leave, and he told the Azteca Mexica he had to return to Aztlan, their true homeland, and he would one day, in the far future, reincarnate, pop back into reality. I also claim that the official timeline of this encounter is severely off, and that is due to the Spanish and Catholic churches' involvement in genocide of the Aztec people and the destruction of most of their ancient writings. This was done intentionally to hide what their myths and legends were really saying, and to totally erase the knowledge of this long-lost civilization and the supposed giant treasure it hides to this very day. I claim that all of the earlier explorers from Spain, like Hernan Cortez, were really sent to this land, Mexico, by high-ranking, very rich members of secret societies, and they were looking for lost civilizations and the rumored ancient lost writings, treasures, and technology of Aztlan/Atlantis. The Spanish had secret ancient maps and writings that talked of these things, and these led them to South America and its surrounding areas. Hernan Cortez first landed in the Yucatan near Cozumel in 1519, and he instantly started raiding villages and all the ancient pyramids and temples, searching for gold and valuables, while his clergy and priests frantically tried to convert the savages, the Azteca, to the true religion of God, Catholicism/Christianity. During this time, Cortez and his men started killing all the savages when he could not find their gold. His clergy started destroying all the savages' false idols. They burned entire villages. They tried to destroy all the Azteca, Mayan, Olmec religious writings and objects, saying these were evil pagan beliefs and idols. Up here and down here and all over the place. I'll put pictures. You're already seeing them popping up already. That will help explain some of the things that they were trying to destroy, some of the things that they've found and retained, and they fight over the authenticity of a lot of this stuff. But I'm gonna put up pictures of real things, possibly fake things, because they fake things and thrown them in on purpose, just to try to fool everybody to make the real ones look not authentic. But okay, so Cortez finally made his way up to Tenochtitlan, current-day Mexico City. This is ancient. This is an ancient city civilization that really dates back to the time of Aztlan, Atlantis. The Aztec that lived here really found this ancient city in ruins long ago after originally fleeing Aztlan. They have legends of coming from a land far in the north that was utterly destroyed. These legends speak of a huge ancient civilization they used to live in until a huge catastrophe made them hide and live in a huge underground city. They could no longer survive in this city, and the leader at the time supposedly had a vision or an encounter with something that told them to travel south many, many days to a new land that could support them. They would know this land when they found an eagle eating a snake in the middle of a lake, like on a little piece of land. This is what they claimed to have found when they finally reached Tenochtitlan after months of traveling. The Aztec found the city deserted and in ruins, but according to the vision, they had found their new home, so they settled the area. The Aztec lived in this area for a long time. They became extremely powerful, and they pretty much dominated the area for a long time. They fought and warred with all the other Mexica and Maya and tribes. They performed human sacrifice rituals again and killed hundreds of thousands of other tribal members that lived in smaller groups around them. Then Cortez and his men showed up. The leader of the Aztec at this time is named Moctezuma II. Cortez meets with Moctezuma, and at this point, Moctezuma makes a horrible mistake, and he becomes convinced that Hernan Cortez is a reincarnation of the Quetzalcoatl. He was not the Quetzalcoatl. Cortez has white skin, blue eyes, and a gray beard. At first, Moctezuma tries working with Cortez, thinking he is the long-lost Atlantean god. Cortez starts raiding and searching for treasure and gold while his clergy converts and kills more of the savages. That's so sickening. I don't even like writing it. Savages. It's like calling Mexicans today illegal aliens. It's freaking disgusting. But I have to write it, so I'm sorry I have to say it. It gives me like goosebumps every time. Look at this, I got goosebumps. Moctezuma finally realizes his mistake and quickly gathers a huge amount of his Aztec warrior runners, and they gather up huge amounts of treasure and ancient writings and mystical objects. And he tells his runners to spirit away all of these things and take them back to Aztlan and hide them so the false god invaders can't steal the true Quetzalcoatl's treasures. Now it gets interesting. Where is Aztlan? In ancient writings, on ancient and modern maps, and according to Aztec legends and writings, Aztlan is in the western deserts of the United States of America. This is true, totally true. Anybody heard of the secret area at 51 base? It's a little secret place. So, the Aztec claimed that there were 7 ancient lost underground cities of gold. These have been known by many names throughout history: Cibola, El Dorado, Aztlan, and many, many more. They claim these cities are underground and connected together via huge tunnels and cavern systems. This is also true, and it's written about in Aztec writings and extremely guarded esoteric texts. I mean, these tunnel systems are massive. They go from South America up into the United States, across the United States, into Canada. I mean, these are ancient systems from a lost civilization. There are also guarded texts that talk about other underground cities and huge tunnel systems existing in South America. This is also true. An author named Carl Brugger was investigating these South American underground cities and wrote a book about the ancient underground city known as Akakor. This book is called The Chronicle of Akakor. This book was removed from circulation for the things it reveals, and the author was assassinated when he went to South America to actually look for this underground city. The book is almost impossible to find and sells for hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, depending on how many are currently available on the internet. There's also a PDF version. It's like 94 pages. You can download that and read that. I don't know how much of that is the book and how much has been edited, but you can find that. Except there might be more to the book. I mean, the original book, I think, was published in German language, too. So, it's been translated as well after the author was assassinated. I've read what I can of this book. I'm not claiming that it's all true, but a large amount is. I am telling you about this book, city, and man, because all of these things connect. Like they really connect. And that's another way the Aztec got this treasure out of Mexico and into the United States. All of these ancient underground cities are connected by huge, very ancient underground tunnel and cavern systems, all the way from deep Mexico into the United States and beyond. The Aztec used both underground systems to remove their treasure, writings, and artifacts, as well as above-ground runners. On a side note, the story of Father Crespi is also connected to these underground cities and tunnel cavern systems. Really look into Mr. Father Crespi and what he found and was given. This religious man had a small cache of ancient golden treasures and relics that were given to him by the natives. These were gifts to him for helping the local tribal members. These relics also came from these hidden underground areas and are directly tied to the Aztec. You can Google and see some of the objects from his collection if you like. There are dozens and dozens of older maps that are still viewable to this day on the internet and in books that show Aztlan in the United States of America. It encompasses California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. I say this is true, but was a much larger and spanned the entire country. There are ancient ruins all over these areas of the United States that prove this. We have Cahokia in St. Louis, Mayan ruins and ancient villages in Tennessee, Indian mounds in Tennessee, the Serpent Mound in Ohio. There are so-called mounds all over Ohio. Huge cavern systems in Kentucky like the Mammoth Cave, right behind the so-called meteor crater. You need to really read essay number, I think it's 5 for that one. That would blow your mind, because it's not a meteor crater. hold on, I lost my place. The so-called meteor crater in Arizona are destroyed and half-buried ancient ruins that almost no one talk about. Nope, but they are there. I will speak more about this crater and these ruins in another essay. We have Chaco Canyon in New Mexico and secret hidden cavern systems located under Victoria Peak. They actually found a small portion of this Aztec treasure in this cavern system under this mountain, and I will write another essay going into great detail about this. It's not just, okay, this thing with Victoria Peak is much more than they're telling you. I mean, they're sort of hinting at the Jesse James and KGC connection and the Spaniards, and they try to not talk about Aztec, but they talk a little bit about it. But they're not talking about really why there's this huge system underneath this weird mountain in the first place and what it really connects to. That they're keeping totally secret, but I'll get to that later. So, there are also Mayan ruins in Flagstaff, Arizona, and also more all around the rim of the Grand Canyon and around Sunset Crater. These ruins stretch into California. There are ancient rock walls that are scattered all over California that have no real explanation. We have very ancient ruins and tunnel systems scattered all over the place near Mount Shasta. I can go on and on here, but I think I've given enough examples. I mean, I really could, man. I could really go on and on, but I don't even think I could put a video that long and people would stop listening to me. But I'll talk to you if you send me messages. All of these sites are absolutely connected to each other in ancient times by a huge, vast cavern and tunnel system. Side note, most of these ancient tunnel and cavern systems and some of the lost underground cities are in ruins and are collapsing in on themselves and are the real reasons behind many of our earthquakes. Absolutely true. Area 51 is also sitting on top of part of ancient Aztlan. Yep, part of it. This is a big place. I talk a little bit about this in my first essay, and I will dedicate a future one all about this topic. I think that's essay number 4. And I'm going to read that one here too, and I know people will go crazy over that one if they actually let this make it out to the public, which I still doubt they're letting it happen, but we'll see. So this is how the United States government found some of the lost high technology that we use today, and this is also where they found a few of the dish-shaped craft we now call UFOs. Similar craft are spoken of in the Mahabharata. That's up here somewhere. Or there's part of that, like, epic up there. So, part of it spoken of in the Mahabharata and in ancient texts. They are known as Vimanas. Again, more on this later. Now to Skinwalker Ranch. Under this ranch lies part of one of these lost cities. This area is actively being guarded and protected by ancient machines and technology from this lost civilization once known as Aztlan, Atlantis. You all need to look at this from an ancient military. You all need to look at this like an ancient military base that is buried miles and miles underground, and all of the orbs, UFOs, and what we call skinwalkers today are really ancient high technologies that are guarding and protecting something. This is why the government had Bigelow and his groups researching this land and air. They all know about the real UFOs that are all flying around and messing with and guarding many sites. They all know. Hold on. They know all about the real UFOs that are all flying around and messing with and guarding many sites on this planet. It's not just the ranch. They also know these are machines from Aztlan/Atlantis, and they cover it up with alien misinformation. Yes, there is some disclosure for everybody. I mean, the highest ranking people know what this really is. So, this is why there are so many strange sightings all over the planet at various ancient ruins and holy sites. There have been sightings at Temple Mount in Jerusalem, at Baalbek, the pyramids in Egypt, this one's difficult, Sacsayhuaman, Machu Picchu, Namdal, etc., etc. All of these sites are far older than you are told and directly tie into these lost civilizations. None of these were built by the people they claim or when they claim. The Patemewan Shawami. I do not mean to offend anybody with that horrible pronunciation of that word. Temple in India sits atop something very ancient, and they actually retrieved a small treasure of $22 billion in gold, jewels, gems, and random things just a few years ago. This treasure is not the interesting part of the story. At the lowest level of this temple is a weird sealed door. It's door number 7. That is impossible to open and is actually giving off weird energy and is vibrating. It is said that if you try to open the door, you will die, and if you're successful, there will be a huge catastrophe on Earth. This is true, and this is also lost technology from a destroyed civilization talked about in the Mahabharata. Skinwalker Ranch and the adjoining areas are sitting on top of something far, far older than the other sites I've just spoken of, and much more advanced. We call the advanced technologies that are roaming around guarding the area skinwalkers, UFOs, and orbs. See where I'm going here? I claim they have the ability to shapeshift, fly, and become invisible. If you do something they don't like digging, they can blast you in the head and hurt you like the guy on the TV show. They say not to go to the ranch and screw around because they can follow you home. They call this the hitchhiker phenomenon. This is also true, and I'm pretty sure I've had this exact phenomenon happen to me currently. All of the weird things happening at the ranch are caused by these advanced technologies. The TV crew's phones are scanned by these machines. This happened to me while I was in the surrounding areas poking around last year. It's been like 2 years now. The crew's battery, I went there totally twice. The crew's batteries mysteriously drained without notice when fully charged. This happened to my truck while in the area, and right before this, my radio went nuts and kept switching stations. It was like madness. I was like, what the hell is going on? Sorry about the cursing. I also received a weird robotic call on my phone, and when I was dealing with my dead battery, something yelled at me twice to go away and hung up after this happened. After this happened, my phone died, and when I finally got the truck started after I got the truck started and everything, my phone was it was crazy, man. Oh, hold on. I would be, I just need to read what I wrote. I'll add more later. I finally got my truck started after receiving a jump start from a passerby. I charged my phone and turned it on, and it was absolutely blank, and I did a factory reset. To this very day, weird things happen to my phone and computer. Who knows if this is recording? I will be talking to someone at the house about some of this weird stuff, and all of a sudden we will get weird messages and alerts on our phones that coincide with what I'm saying. This happens, right? This happened. That happened before. This is the hitchhiker phenomenon they are talking about. This is not a joke, and this is very real. So beware if you venture near this ranch. I'm telling you, it's the truth. If you go by this ranch, you're going to be playing with some stuff you don't want to be playing with, maybe. I'm just warning you. This is not just happening on the ranch. There are far worse places than the ranch, but they are on the Native American sacred land. Some of these areas have entrances to things that have been hidden for thousands of years. There are also entrances to ancient gold mines that are actively guarded, and there are thousands of treasure hunters looking for these places. Yes, there are. I've talked to a few of them. Some of them are very nice. Some of them are very sneaky. But there's a lot of them looking for all of this. So, a huge amount of them have weird stories about bad things happening to them in strange areas while searching. These are the skinwalkers, the machines guarding selected areas. There are petroglyphs that show these exact things on rock walls all over this area and other areas. I mean, I'm telling you, you look at the walls, there's like little robots. You see lots of weird stuff on these petroglyphs. And that's what they're trying to show you from a long time ago when they were more active and they were like interacting with them for some reason. They show weird orbs, UFO-looking things chasing people and animals as the Native Americans shoot at them with bows and arrows. They have petroglyphs that show entrances into the earth. The Native Americans speak of these ancient entrances into the underworld, and they actively guard them to this day. They also claim to have lived underground in ancient underground cities thousands of years ago during a horrible catastrophe. These are the same underground cities the Aztecs spoke of, Aztlan. And I don't remember if I wrote about this. This is the same when they talk about the ant people. I write about this later on when I explain what the ant people are and how they're connected to all these underground cities too. And that's what the Native Americans were talking about with the ant people. And ancient aliens try to make you think it's aliens from another world, and it isn't. It isn't. But I think it's essay number 8. I go into more detail about all that. But if you're a fan of the TV show The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, you have seen actual proof of this lost technology. Season 3, Episode 1 clearly shows a ball blur ancient machine repeatedly shooting directly under their helicopter as they try to do an experiment. This is lost high technology screwing with them and warning them, trying to get them to go to hell away. It's just like a machine, like a little drone. Ancient, super high technology drone. Get out of here, stupid helicopter. And then this is lost high technology screwing with them, trying to warn them away. They have also shot and aired real footage of orbs buzzing them on the ground and the UFO blasting a cow with something and it dropped dead. This is ancient lost technology guarding this area. That's what's doing. That's what I say what's doing with the cow mutilations too. So I don't remember what that lady's name is. She was always on Linda Moulton Howe. I'd love to talk to her because they should write there's something killing cattle, but this machine's from the past, and they're just like checking the food supply and seeing if it's safe and shit. It's like running on a program from a long time ago, and it's messing with the cows from today. And that's why they find them dropped inside of like telephone lines and just hanging from the like something dropped them from the sky. Something did. So I'd like to talk to her about her cow mutilations. So this all goes back to the Quetzalcoatl and the ancient legends of this being and this lost civilization. It says he will one day reincarnate and return to Aztlan to reclaim his ancient land. His ancient land. Lost technologies and treasure. And these machines are actively guarding these things, awaiting his return. See, there's a lot of stuff that's been cut out of all these Aztec myths and legends, and the Mayan myths and legends, and the Olmecs, and who they really were, and how they all connect to each other, and where they all really came from, and who. There's so much that's been covered up and hidden and destroyed. So, I am actually not surprised a Mormon businessman bought this land. Some Mormons truly believe that the Quetzalcoatl was actually Jesus Christ, and he visited South America during his missing years. This is not true and a mistake. The Quetzalcoatl was a plumed, feathered serpent. There is only one plumed, feathered serpent, and the Freemasons have a legend of this being's return as well, but they call this soul by a different name, and there is a giant golden blasphemous. It used to be golden in color when it was first erected, and now it's weathered and tarnished and green. But originally, there was a giant golden blasphemous statue in the entrance of New York that we call the Statue of Liberty. This is really the morning star, the light bringer, the bringer of knowledge, the torchbearer, Lucifer Moroni, morning star. I will write extensively about this in another essay. So, side note. Anyone remember the name of the computer security system at the ranch? On the TV show? I do. They revealed this way back in the first season. I think it was in the first or second episode. This Mormon businessman and or TV show named this computer system Satan. 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 And they used the 666 hazard sign as an emblem on the computer monitor. There are no coincidences. and nothing remains hidden forever. This ends Esoteric Essay number 2, written by myself, James Mazio. And then I put on here, I host my own private group here on Facebook where I post all of my writings first, before I post them in other groups like the one you found this post in. If interested in this essay and you have made it this far, I highly encourage all of you to search my group and ask to join. It is easy to find and called Esoteric Essays. You will be greeted by the Hand of Mysteries. I will quickly approve any request to join, and all the essays and side notes that I have written are posted there. I will personally answer any and all questions sent to me in PMs and in the comments. Please just be a decent human and respectful. So that's Facebook group Esoteric Essays. Please ask to join. I let almost everybody in. I mean, I've only had problems with like 1 or 2 people. I try to be fair. All of everything, all of the essays I've written can be found in the group, in the featured section of the group. You either, once you join the group, you click the featured tab and they'll be right there, or you can scroll, I think, from left to right under where you post. And all the essays are there. Other people post too. There's over 1,000 people in there. So, but I've also been, I've been interviewed by Terry Carter. He's a treasure hunter. He drove from Utah down here. And one of my interview with him is on his page. So I recommend you go check out Terry Carter's page. I'll leave a link on the notes or whatever you call them, the show notes for Terry Carter's, the link to my interview there. And I've been a coast to coast twice caller. I outed Area 51 big time with, what's her name? Connie Willis. That was a few months ago. And then I made a really weird call and talked to L.A. Marzulli, and they cut me off right in the middle of it, man. Bam! My phone died, rebooted. It was crazy. I was like, well, they wanted to shut me up for sure on that one. So, but you can actually find those. I highly recommend it. But there's a lot more to all this right here that I'm still not saying. But this is essay number 2. I've expanded a little bit on it. And I will answer. I'll make part 2. I need to write part 2. I'm going to write part 2 of this. So if you have any questions, either join the group and send me a message or PM on Facebook, or put it in the comments here on YouTube. I'll try to answer you, but it's a lot harder to do it on YouTube to talk to people, but I'll still talk to you anywhere. And I'm not making $1 off of any of this. I've actually lost everything I've ever had, really. I'm living with my elderly parents, who my mom just passed away. I was helping her with chemo, and she had cancer. But I mean, I've had heart problems. That's why I'm like so chubby and fat now. But I mean, I've been blackballed from work. There's no way they'll ever allow me to work ever again. They took my license from me. I mean, I'm totally destitute here. I'm not asking for any money. I'm asking you guys, if you think this is interesting, or if I'm telling you the truth, or anything sounds truthful, please just share it. That's what I would like you to do. Just like, subscribe, share the word. I'm just trying to tell people what I've learned, man. And like I said, I've had a really weird life, so like a little Indiana Jones kind of weird life. That I was in the movie industry. I've met secret society members. I've had connections to military and people that went to Antarctica for years, and lots of stuff. So I'm just sitting here now going, I'm going to just tell people what I've learned and see what they think. So if you have any questions or comments, just let me know. I'll try to talk to you, man. I'm a real person. I'm just a little nervous here because I know that the big people don't like the little people making big noise. So, okay, I hope you guys learned something, and hopefully I learned something from you guys in the questions and comments. Thanks again for listening. I hope you have a great day. Until next time, later. Peace. Love you all.